Hey, what is up guys, this is our future and today I will talk about Lunar Starship. NASA just told us that SpaceX is one of the 3 companies who will land their lander on Moon. And of course SpaceX is gonna use Starship. But if you have seen renderings of Starship before, these new pictures might look a bit different to you. I'll talk about it soon, but if you don't know what Starship is, then it is a rocket which is being made by a company called SpaceX. And SpaceX made history by making orbital reusable rocket. The reason I said orbital is because right before SpaceX, Blue Origin made a reusable rocket called New Shepard. But it couldn't go to the orbit. It was supposed to send few people near the edge of space for a few minutes where they would feel low gravity and then come back. But it haven't been much used yet. SpaceX on the other hand made Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, which are reusable and are actually used to send satellites in orbit and cargo to ISS. But SpaceX have bigger dreams. Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of SpaceX, always planned on sending people to Mars and start a colony there. And he said that it is impossible to have a common presence in space without reusable rockets. It's like if you throw the plane every time you use it. It would be so expensive that no one would travel in planes. Which is the reason he made SpaceX. But his Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy can't send people to Mars. So Elon and SpaceX had to make something bigger. Something a lot more bigger. That's when the idea of Starship was born. In 2016, Elon Musk first told us about Starship. But the name was different. It was called Interplanetary Transport System. Next year, 2017, he changed the name to BFR, Big Fricking Rocket. And then the next year from that, he changed it to Starship. There are 2 different parts of it. Yes, the whole thing is called Starship, but individually, upper stage is called Starship and the booster is called Super Heavy. There were a lot of skeptics, cause all of that were just concepts until they actually make something. And in 2019, the first prototype of Starship, the Starhopper, was made. It flew up till 150 meters as planned. That's when people started to getting hope that maybe Starship can actually do something. And looking at the progress SpaceX have made on Starship, NASA also started believing in SpaceX. As we all know, after tragedies happen in Space Shuttle, NASA makes sure to keep the crew as safe as possible. With SpaceX, there are 2 other companies, which are Dynetics and Blue Origin with national team. The national team includes Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and Draper. All 3 teams got different amount of money. But when I saw these renderings of different landers, I saw there's something different in Starship. It was looking a lot more different than the stainless steel Starship which SpaceX showed us. There were a few big differences. The color of Starship was different, the landing legs were different, and the fins/wings, I don't know what to call them, I will just call them wings for now, they were gone. The color makes sense because when Starship will land on Moon, people will stay inside Starship when they are not working. And at the daytime, the Starship would get really hot. It would be really hard to keep the temperature low inside, so having white color will reflect a lot of sunlight and it would be easier to keep everything normal inside, so astronauts won't have any problems. Change of landing legs could make sense cause the design of Starship keeps changing. But removing wings was a big thing, cause those wings play a huge role in landing the Starship on Earth. But wings are needed to land on Moon because of low gravity and thin atmosphere. So the plan of NASA with this new lunar Starship is that it will not come back to Earth. It will land on Moon and it will stay there. Of course, I don't know every single detail of this plan, but as far as I know, the plan is to have a gateway in orbit of Moon which will work as a base, and when people land on Moon in Starship, after everything is done, they will use Starship to launch from Moon to the gateway. And then the crew will get in Orion and use it to come back to Earth. You might be thinking, what is the point of reusable Starship if it won't come back to Earth? It might be because NASA wants to keep crew as safe as possible. So they might think it's better to bring back people in Orion, which is something that NASA is making. But there is a problem with that. The main part of Gateway is SLS. SLS is the one rocket which will send Orion from Earth to the Gateway. And looking at the time it's taking to SLS to be made, if SLS won't be completed in time or just totally fails, then this plan will not work. In that case, it would be a lot better for NASA to use plan of SpaceX, which is to use Starship to go to the moon, make a base there, and if they want to bring some people back, then just use Starship to come back. And this also sounds a lot more simple. Using the gateway plan is a lot more complex. Make a gateway in moon's orbit, send Orion there, send Starship on the moon, use Starship to dock with gateway and use Orion to come back. But with SpaceX plan, they can use Starship to go there and then use it to come back. So what do you think? Here is a poll, let me know. Now let's get to the good news. Starship's new prototype serial number 4 just successfully completed its static fire test. It won't be long since we see this huge thing fly. Serial number 5 is being made right now and work on serial number 6 has already started. If I found out more updates on this, I will make a new video. So if you want to stay updated on these things, then subscribe and click like if you like this. Thanks for watching till the end. Goodbye and keep dreaming.